Hello everyone, welcome to another video. And from this video we are gonna start a new series about how to register and log in, how to make a login system basically, right? So without wasting time, let's get started. Let me first show you. We have a database here, Mysql database called demo, which we have previously used obviously, and inside which we have a user table, and we have two fields, name and email, but we are gonna need much more fields, one for password as well. So name, email and password, I think that would be enough, or we should include more fields, like, you know, no, let's just keep it this way. uh, Three fields, right? So let's just go to structure and add another column after email, and it will be password, and it will be varchar, and length will be 255 obviously, right? And save it. So we have three columns: name, email and password, and id is auto incremented, right? So for now I'm gonna delete this value, because I will add this value when I register from my application, right? So delete this, and yeah. So now let me show you the PHP files for this. We have already made it. If you haven't seen my previous videos about volley, insert and basic of PHP, I would suggest you to go through that. And if you don't wanna, it's just simple PHP files. Here one, I have db.php, where I make the database connection with the MySQL connect function, and others. If you want to go through, you can look at my other videos. And we're probably not going to use any of these files. We'll make new files from scratch, or we'll edit, and basically I'll explain every single files if we'll use one of them, right? So don't worry about these all files for now. So now let's go to the Android Studio, open up the project, and let me first show you the module app Gradle file. And I have included this material layout library which will support all the new and better designings of our layouts. And also I have implemented the volley library here as well. You can copy this, and you will be ready to go, right? So now I'm gonna change the name of my main activity. To do that, go to Java and right click on main activity and go to refactor, and rename will be register activity, I think, or sign up activity. Let's say sign up activity, and refactor. And also I'll change the layout file name as well. So refactor rename, and instead activity main I write sign up .xml. So refactor, and inside this now we'll make a layout. So we have a constraint layout at the top, and we are going to use another widget called card view to make our layout look better. So let's create a card view first. Wait a minute, I have messed up with the name here. Let me just rename this file. I have written this I capital, which I don't want, so yeah, refactor. So now let's take a card view, and I'll give it with match parent, and height will be wrap content, and yeah, inside which we will have some other values. So first of all, let me give it the constraint of horizontal parent, and at the top I'll give the constraint at parent at the top. Where is it? Yeah, and I'll give 32 dp margin at the top as well. And as a matter of fact, let's give margin from both sides, 16 dp and 16 dp, which will look good, right? So inside this card view now, we'll take another widget called text input layout. Text input layout, here it is, and width will be match parent and height will be wrap content. And yeah, basically that's it. And now inside this text input layout we'll have edit text. And width and match width and height both will be match parent. So yeah, and we'll give id to the edit text as we want our name first. So let's say name, we'll write sign up underscore name, sign up underscore name, and hint will be enter name here. Yeah, that's it. Now I'm gonna copy this text input layout with headed text inside it, and I'm gonna paste it twice, one for email and second for our password. Before I'm gonna specify the input type as text, right? And let me just copy it and paste it twice right there. And here's our name, is our email, so I'm gonna change the id as email and enter email here, and the input type will be text email address, right? So it will handle all the if you type wrong type of email, if you type like greatdevelopers.com, it is not an email address, so you have to validate that by an email pattern. So it will automatically do it. If you enter a wrong email like that, it will warn you, right? So yeah, and I'll change the id up here, and password will be text itself, and the id will be password, sign up underscore password, and password here. And I'm gonna write another thing inside this password text input layout. I'm going to write toggle password toggle enable, and I'm going to write true. Alright, so I'll tell you what it does. First, let me just make this view a little better. So I'm gonna take a linear layout here. So taking layout inside layout is not a good idea. It might increase the time of the activity loading, and it is not just good for optimization of your app. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to remove constraint layout and have a linear layout at the top, and I'm going to give orientation as vertical. So now here inside card view, we don't need these parents, right? Actually, yeah, we don't need this constraint. And inside our card view we are gonna need another linear layout, which will be height and width both will be match parent. My studio is stuck. Yeah, height and width both will be match parent, and inside this linear layout I'm gonna put everything else. So at the end of this card view, before the card view ends, I put the end of this linear layout, and I'm gonna give orientation to this linear layout as vertical. So yeah, it looks good. Width will be match parent, and height, why it's not showing up anything. Height is wrap content. Okay, Yeah, email and password. Name is, where's the name? You know, that's why I don't like to have linear layout. I would rather work with constraint layout. Let's see. Is the linear layout, and here is our okay. So orientation vertical, match parent, width and height both are match parent, width and height match parent. Height will be wrap content here. Let me change the height wrap content. Alright, it is already a wrap content. So let's see what's happening. I have no idea. Okay, I don't know what happened, but it's shown up. It should have been like this all the time, but somehow it's fixed. If you noticed anything wrong, what mistake I did, you can comment down in the comment section. Right, so basically this is how these three fields I'm gonna have, and obviously we'll need a button as well. So, and I think I should give some margin here, so that let's just go to text input layout and give margin top. I think 5 dp would be enough, and I'm gonna copy it in every single text input layout. Yeah, so outside linear and card view, I'm gonna have a button, and it will be, width will be match parent and height will be wrap content, and ID will be sign up. I think, yeah, sign up, button underscore sign up. Let's keep it that way. And text will be sign up, margin left will be 16 dp as we have given to everything else, and margin right will be 16 dp as well, and margin top, because we need a little gap between these two, so margin top will be 10 dp. Yeah, so yeah, it's all, we don't need anything else. It's just I'm not going to focus on the layouts. I'm going to focus on the functionalities of this, how this login and sign up works, right? So go to sign up activity.java, and you're gonna have three variables of edit text and one for button. So let's create private edit text ed1, ed2, or whatever name you can give, right? I'm just going to give it simple, and another one is private button, not but, button, and we'll initialize it inside this onCreate method. ed1 equals to find view by id r dot id dot button or a sign up name. ed2 equals to find view by id r dot id dot sign up email, and ed3 equals to find view by id r dot id dot password, and button equals to find view by id r dot id dot button sign up. Yeah, and on button sign up dot on click listener set on click listener new on click listener. Here we'll get strings from this edit text. String name equals to ed1 dot get text dot toString, and string email equals to ed2 dot get text dot toString, and string password equals to ed3 dot get text dot toString. And now we are going to call a method to sign up the user. Sign up user, and I'm going to pass everything. Sign up user, name, email, and password. I'm not doing any kind of validation right now. This course is not about validation. I'm just going to focus on login and sign up, right? So let me make another method for this inside sign up activity, and here we're gonna write the code for our APIs. So first let's write, we need a URL, so string URL equals to let me check the URL. It will http 192.168.42.9 slash demo slash, the name of our file will be signupuser.php, right? So this is our URL. You can check your URL by going into cmd and you type a command ipconfig, and if you're a Linux user you can type ifconfig, right? So that's how you'll get this IP address. And if you are using XAMPP, you'll have to start Apache and MySQL server. So in that htdocs folder, you are inside that folder htdocs, you'll have a folder called demo, and inside which will create a signup.php file, right? So that's how you get the URL. Now we'll need a request queue equals to volley dot new request queue, and we'll pass context this as context, and we'll now need a string request equals to new string request, and inside which we'll pass our URL as first parameter, and as a second parameter we'll need as a first parameter, as a matter of fact, we have to define the method. So in this case we'll write request dot method dot post, and as a second parameter now we write URL and then type new and press Ctrl plus space, and we'll have this response dot listener and press enter, and this method will now override. And here you have to override on error method, so on error listener, and here we'll pass our hash map. So let's create protected hash map of type string get params, and it will throw an exception, throws auth failure error, and inside which we'll have another hash map object. Let's create that hash map of type string not string request, is string, and I'm gonna call it map equals to new hash map, and we'll pass map dot put name and name. and we have to make it final. So make sure you have made this all things final here, and final. Now we need to pass two more things. One is email and one is password. Email and password. I don't have password, I just have pass. So now we just return our map, and here we add that string request inside our request queue. So request queue dot add string request. Now to catch our response, we write here, I'm gonna log it, so log.d response, and inside error we're gonna log an error, log.d error, and we'll get error dot get message. Right, I think it is done. We don't need to have anything else. It's showing an error, but I don't know what error it is. Yes, here it is. We haven't passed semicolon on that. And after this everything is done, I'm going to redirect our activity to my login activity, right? So let's create a login activity first. New activity, empty activity, and I'll call it login activity, and finish. So let it be finished. Now now we have to wait for it. Actually we have to write a redirect code here in signup activity.java. Once this signup is finished, at the end I want to start activity of intent. I'm going to give intent to my login activity, right? So start activity, I'll pass intent this, and I'll pass login activity dot class. I have to write new here, new intent import. That's it, we don't need to add anything else. Now let's make an API for this. Go to our text editor, and I'm gonna make a new file here. Name sign up user.php, and open and close PHP blog. Now include our database file db.php, and actually I'm going to copy few things from our previous API. So let me just copy everything from here. I don't want to rewrite the code, right? So I'll explain everything here. I'm getting a name in a post request and email in a post request, and I need another field as password in via post request password, and I want to insert name, email, and password in our database, and as a third value I'll pass $password. And we don't need this JSON encoded here anymore, so let me just delete it. Yeah, so I'm getting three values: email, name, and password. I'm firing a query to insert these three values in database. I'm calling a function of MySQL query. I'm passing the connection variable and query inside it. and if it is successful, I'm echoing the data inserted, and if it gets fails, I'm echoing data not inserted. So that's what this API works, right? So now go back to Android Studio and run our application. So now our application is running. So we are gonna enter name, Gray Developers, then email as graydevelopers618@gmail.com, and here I'm gonna pass password, and I can hide it as well and show it as well. If you remember earlier in the video, we have password toggle enabled inside this view, so that's what it does. And I'm gonna click on the sign up, and it should redirect us to a login activity. And let's check in our database if we have passed the values inside our database. Let's refresh it. Nothing. So let's debug what's happening here. Let me filter response. Actually it is that some error is occurring. Bad URL, http. Okay, I'm passing a bad URL here. It should be http, it's not http, http. So let me just rerun our application. And let's pass values. Gray developers @618, sorry, 618 gmail.com 111, and sign up. So now let's see, still not getting any values in database. So let's open Logcat again. Something's wrong with our API. On line 12, unexpected query. So let's see what is on line 10. Sign up query. Yep, we haven't returned. Sorry, it's just a silly mistakes. It's just a semicolon that was missing. So we don't need to run our application again. Just press the backpress button. It will take us to the sign up, and let's click on sign up again. And yeah, as we can see, our response is data inserted, and in the database we can see our data is inserted. So that's how you sign up the user on database, but still we are not getting any value on password. So there's something to worry about. Let's see password, and let's PASSWORD, and let's see the map PASSWORD pass. Right, now ed3 password, everything is perfect, but I don't know what it is. Let me close login for now, and let me just comment this method down, and let's just log our pass string and see what we are getting from this pass, from this edit text, right? So I'm going to write 111 quick and go to Logcat and we are getting 111, but somehow we are not getting it in database. So let me just cut it, and yeah, everything is all right. PASSWORD. Let's go to here, and let me go here and check this. Let me just put our log here and see if we are getting the password value here or not. So let's write log.d. Sorry, my caps lock is on. So log.d, and let's run. And I'm gonna comment this for now. I don't want to go to login for now until I pass my password. (111) sign up, and let's check. Yes, we're getting pass here. Let's check. It says data inserted. That means it called our API, and our name and email should be null on database, and this password should be passed on that. So let's refresh our database and check if it is not. Everything is null here. So let's echo our query here and see if we are getting values here or not. Dollar query, and I'm gonna click on this again. Actually, I have to log URL as well. Let's pass URL here and done. I forgot to make it final, so let me just make it final first. Yeah, I have made the final, and it's still not working, so let me just remove it and paste it in response. Yeah, I'm just going to pass the password here. I'm not going to pass other two values. I just want to check if we are passing the right query or not. Sign up, and here we are getting the URL and the query as well, which shows clearly that we're not getting any values as a post. So let's pass our name and email again and sign up. So as we can see, we are getting name and email but not the password. So this is a matter of concern. I actually don't know what is missing and where it is missing. We are passing the value from our Android side, right? But it's not getting here on the PHP side. Actually, yes, I got the thing. Actually, the mistake is the variable I have written here is different from the variable I have written here. Small a is missing, which was all about. And now if I sign up, and now if I see in response, we are getting everything else, and inside our database as well, we are passing our password. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna delete everything here in database, and yes, I want to delete it and go back to our Android Studio, and I'm gonna remove this comment, and I'm gonna run the application and give all the values from beginning. name will be gray developers, gray developers 618@gmail.com, and password will be 111. I don't care. So sign up, and it will take us to login activity, and you can see we have data in our database as well. Now we have to implement the login activity, login functionality. So let me just go to login the activity login XML file, and I'm actually gonna copy everything from sign up. I'll change the IDs and stuff later, so let me paste it over here. And we don't actually need name, we are gonna log in our user with the help of email and password only. So yeah, that's it. And I'm gonna change the ID as sign up. Instead of sign up, I'm gonna say login_email, and here in password I'm gonna say login_password, and in button I'm gonna say button_login. Right, so now go to the Java file of this login, and it's the sign up file. So let's go to the login activity.java. We'll need to edit text, ed1, ed2, and one button, and ed1 equals to find view by id r.id.login email. ed2 equals to find view by id r.id.login password. Here it is. And button equals to find view by id r.id.login password, button login, and button dot set on click listener, new on click listener, and we'll need to string here. String email equals to ed1 dot get text dot toString, and string password equals to ed2 dot get text dot toString, and we'll call a method login user, and I'm going to pass name and email inside that. Email and password, it's not name, email and password, right? So let's create this method inside our login activity. Again, we are gonna need a URL. Let me just make up some space. String URL equals to http 192.168.42.9/demo, and / our file's name is going to be login user.php. We need a request queue, so let's create request queue of Wally. Request queue equals to Wally dot new request queue. This is just a generic methods, right? And string request equals to new string request of type Wally dot method dot post, and we'll pass URL and new response listener, new error listener, and protected hash map of type string throws get params which will throw an failure error. I'm not gonna explain everything in detail. You can refer to my older videos on Wally. So I'm not gonna explain the same thing again and again, right? So hash map type string map equals to new hash map dot put email and map dot put password pass and make it final and return map and request queue dot add string request. And here you can start a new activity that you can give intent to a new activity of your home page or something else, right? Let's do that. Let's make an activity here. Before that, let's make log here, just in case we need to debug some error occurs and we need to debug. So response, and I'm gonna copy it, error dot get message. Alright, so let's make another activity. I'm gonna name it a main page activity, or yeah, main page activity or whatever, right? So go back to login and give an intent to that activity. Start activity, new intent this to main page activity dot class. And now if you want to implement logout, actually we'll do that later, right? So let's make an API first. I'm gonna make a new file, login user.php, and I'm going to copy everything from here. Let's just copy everything and paste it here. We are not getting name, we are getting email. So let me clear that and let me change that to password and password. Now the logic behind login is that we are passing two things, email and password, through our API, and we'll fetch everything from our database and we'll check if anything from our database matches with this two pair of values or not, right? So let's create a query for that. Select star, that means everything from users where email equals to $email, and yes, give a and d as an, you don't give to ampersand in PHP, right? And password equals to $password. So that's it. MySQL query function will be same, and if we get result, we don't need this JSON encode. If we get result, we are gonna say user logged in, and here we are gonna say error, right? So that's it. Now Let's run our application and see if it is working or not. Yeah, so I would need to go to login here first. Yeah, so here we are gonna write email graydeveloper618@gmail.com, and the password was 111. I remember, as far as I remember, and login, and it takes us to another activity, which means we have logged in successfully. And if we open, actually it is giving us an error. So I don't know what happens if response. Actually, yes, we are writing this at very wrong place, and if we get some response, then we'll do something like that, right? So let me we'll have to let me log the URL and see if it is giving something else or not, because we are getting error as a response. So URL, and let me change the launcher activity here, so that we, as soon as we open our application, the login activity shows up. So here we are login, graydeveloper618@gmail.com and 111. Let's sign up, and it's still giving us an error, and let's see what is saying. Actually, we have to echo query. I forgot, echo $query, and let's reload. Pass here, and yeah, we are giving the right kind of response, but graydeveloper618@gmail.com. Let's check if our database has the same value or not. It has. So why is it failing? Let me grab the query from here, and let me go to our PHP admin inside SQL, and let me paste it here and go. Yes, there's something wrong with our SQL syntax. You have an error in your SQL syntax. Many of the corresponding MySQL users where email equals to right there. Yeah, we don't write users, we have user as a table name, so that's my bad. Let me change it, and yeah, now if I go back to our application and sign up, the response is still error. I don't know why. Hey, let me query, echo the query again, echo $query. Programming is funny thing sometimes. Let me check the SQL again. It's still saying something's wrong. Let me put this little tilde here. Go, no, where email and password spelling is correct, then why is not? Let me just remove it and party from here. And now when I press go, still saying no. Oh, I'm too silly. I'm actually very silly. I have to write select star from user. It's a silly mistake. And let me just now remove echo query and go to Android Studio again. And when I click on sign up, it will give us the response, and here we getting user response is user logged in. So now if I have to give condition, if response dot equals, I'm gonna copy it, actually user logged in. If we get a response as user logged in, that means we have user in our database and we have validated him. And then I want to go to another activity, so I write here the intent, right? So start activity, new intent, this actually I cannot write this, login activity dot this to main page activity dot class. Now we have already logged in, but now we have to log out from the application, right? So what I have to do is that I have to store our login value to our database. So we are getting we have to get ID from database. So in that case I'll have to write if result happens, I'll loop through the result while dollar row have results inside it. I'll fetch it my SQLi fetch associate. I'm gonna fetch associative error and we'll pass result inside it. And here we'll take dollar val message will be user logged in, and dollar val, actually no, user logged in is too big. I'm gonna keep it simple, success, and dollar val data equals to dollar row, and I'm gonna, don't forget semicolon here, and I'll echo JSON encoded val, right? And if I don't get anything, I'll just pass error as a response, right? So now we have to parse through our JSON. If we get some response, and let me show you what response we get now, so then I can make you understand how we pass through the JSON file, right? JSON response. So now if I log in gray developer618@gmail.com and 111, now if I log in, I'm gonna get this JSON message equals to success, and data in data we'll get this JSON object. So let's write on response, we'll check if response is not equals to null. We're gonna take a JSON object equals to new JSON object, and we'll pass response inside it. And if JSON object dot getString message dot equals success. We are checking this thing, right? If message is equals to success, then we'll move further. And yeah, we have to surround it with try catch, so let me just put it in try. So now inside if let me just, yeah, now we'll have to take another JSON object. So let's take, oh, wait a minute, we should get this as a, an array. Yeah, we have to write this as an array. So if I click on here, yeah, we'll get an array. So I want to do it like this. You can also pass it as JSON object as well, and you can pass an array of several objects inside it as well. This is a generalized method to have an array of objects, so I'm gonna pass it inside an array. So now we'll need JSON array. JSON array equals to JSON object dot get JSON array, and the name of that array is data. And now we'll look through this array. So for int I equals to 0, I less than JSON array dot length, and I plus plus. Now we'll need another JSON object. JSON object jo equals to JSON array dot get JSON object, and I'll pass the I index inside it. So now we can have ID, name, and email from this JSON object, but inside SAP reference we will only store an ID. So let's take a string ID equals to jo dot get string, and name of the string is ID. So we have ID. Now we need to store it inside a SAP reference. So let's take SAP references sp equals to new shared preferences. Actually, we don't need to write new SAP references dot editor. Okay, I need to write the file name first. So get shared preferences, and inside it we'll write login_user, and it will be more private. Now we'll need an editor. So sp dot edit dot put string, and inside it we'll write id, and we'll pass id dot commit. So that's it. We don't need to add anything else. We have our id in the SAP reference, which we'll get here on our main activity. So let me have a SAP reference variable private sp shared preferences sp equals to get, actually I'm not gonna write it here, I'm gonna initialize it here. Sp equals to get shared preferences, the name of file is login_user, and more private. If sp dot contains id, we'll need I'm gonna take another variable here, private string id, and id will be sp dot get string id, and as a default value we need a null value, right? So now let's run our application and see if the all functionality works or not. And yes, I again forgot to start a new activity here, so let me just clear this, and here we'll start a new activity after committing to our set preference. Let's rerun our application. And here's a login page. Okay, developers, great developers 618@gmail.com 111, and sign up will take us here. And I forgot to toast this ID, so let's create a toast and pass ID here. So let's rerun and see if we are getting ID on our main page activity or not, because we'll need that ID to log out our user. Actually, we don't need that ID to log out our user. Actually, we need that SAP reference. We have to check the SAP reference is we have something inside SAP reference or not, right? And sign up. Here we are getting ID. So yeah, now one more thing, in login activity, if we have already logged in, so we don't need to log in every time we open the application, right? So in our login activity, I'm gonna make this SAP reference global, so that we can access it from anywhere in this class. So in our login activity, we can create we can override on start method here, and if sp.contains id, then we'll move to next activity of our main page. This to main page activity dot class, right? We have to pass it in intent. So the first method will be called is onStart. Before moving further in onCreate, we'll check if SAP reference contains ID or not. If it contains, we'll skip this onCreate further, and it will move to move to the main page activity. And if it doesn't contains ID, it stops here and onCreate method will move further, right? So in main page activity, now we have ID. So if we want to log out, we are going to create a new button to log out here. So let's create button, or you can create an option menu as well. So to keep it simple, I'm going to create a logout button here. ID will be logout and text will be logout, and I'm going to give constraint. Okay, now go to main page and private. I don't want to create everything, so let me just go to right find view by id r.id.logout dot set on click listener new on click listener, and I'm going to check if sp dot contains id. I'm going to clear every single things from SAP reference. sp dot edit dot clear dot commit. So that's it. We don't need to add anything else here. So let's run our application, and yes, if we clear everything, we want to go back to our login activity. So this and login activity dot class. Okay, I have to pass in into intent. I always forget it. Intent. Yeah. So now I can write only this to write main page activity dot this, because I'm writing it inside this on view method. So let's rerun our application, and if we are logged in, we'll directly move forward to our main page activity, and if we are not, then we'll have some error to solve. Let's see what happens. Okay, it is closing itself, so go to logout, and we have messed up something. Attempt to invoke a SAP reference on null object. So as I knew, we cannot write it globally. Instead we have to write it here. And we have to give it here in on start as well. I think it should fix this error, and let's see if it does or not. So yes, if we have already logged in, so it has taken us to this main page activity. So now if I press logout, it will take us to the login activity, and since it is not taking us back to that main page activity, that means we have logged out, we have cleared the SAP reference, and we don't have any ID inside SAP reference, and we have logged out. So this is how you basically implement login and sign up functionality in your application. So that's it for this video. I'll see you guys in the next video.